All right. Good evening, brothers and sisters. It's so nice to see so many of you here, and some of you have already turned on your cameras. I love that very much. Well done. Well done. And an extra credit to you all. And those who haven't, please turn on your camera so we may see you tonight so we can have a little bit more interaction with others, with each other. So before we start, we will start with some icebreakers to really get warm in our clothes and get in a good mood. So I hope
Just to
you
hear
are
him. I would like to
as
see him. I like that guy.
excited as me for these icebreakers. Yes, I'm not sure which guy you're referring to there, but I'm sure sounds like a nice person. So let's see if we can have the polls up. All right. So the first question is, what is your spirit animal? A cute and fluffy dog? I am a cat or a lion. Goldfish? I am an onion. I have many layers and I make people cry. What is your spirit animal? All right, very good. A lot of onions here. That's good. All right, and so on first place is I am an onion. I have many layers and I make people cry. And second place is I am a cat or a lion. We have two cute and fluffy dogs and one goldfish. If you still remember that you put that answer. Great joke. All right, next poll question. When drinking tea, how long should you leave your tea bag in the water for? All right, it's a question for the UK here for the English participants. So maybe for like 5 to 7 minutes in the water. I put it in my mouth. I drink coffee because I am normal. Depends on the type of tea. Don't know, don't care. All right. Yeah, why put it in the water when you can just get the flavor in your mouth? I mean, just skip a step, right? I feel like I'm offended. I'm offending some people when I say this, but you know. All right. Okay. So on first place is depends on the type of tea. We have some real tea drinkers here, maybe for like 5, 7 minutes, and then we have a few that drink coffee because they're normal. They put it in their mouth or they don't care. All right. Very good. Thank you for the honesty. I love that. If you were in an awkward situation, what would you do? Walk away slowly. I cannot relate to this scenario. I would just say a brilliant joke. My life is an awkward situation. It's very good. We have a lot of awkward people in the room tonight. That's okay. You'll feel right at home when you come and visit me in Sweden. All right, a lot of people would say a brilliant joke. All right, very good. So on first place is I would say a brilliant joke, which I think is a little bit awkward in an awkward situation, but sure. And a lot of people have lives as awkward situations. Very good. All right. The next question is, are these icebreakers working? There is more ice. There is less ice. It's the same. There's so little ice left. My room is flooded. All right. Oh no, some people are saying there's more ice. Well, you're lucky this is anonymous because that's personal. Very good. All right. So there is so little ice left. My room is flooded. 13 people. 5 people said there is less ice. 3 people said there is more ice. And 0 people said it's the same. So we are making a difference. Just 3 of you are, I would say, more uncomfortable. Very good. All right. So those are the icebreakers for today. I hope you could loosen up a little bit. I hope those three people that have more eyes that you can perhaps loosen up with this next activity that we have, which is a sort of Mentimeter. So, there is a link in the chat. So please press the link and you will be taken to the Mentimeter. All right, so what characteristics are you looking for in a companion of faith? All right, so answer, what characteristics are you looking for a companion of faith? Maybe faith could be one. Oh, just to give it away there. The obvious answer. All right, most people wrote faith. Very nice. Trustful, open-minded, intelligence, honest, honesty, understanding, but mostly faith. We have trustworthy, perseverance, supportive, kind. There's a lot of trust here. Love, loyal, God seeker. I like that one. Understanding, honesty, caring personality, compromising. Wow. I like whoever this person is. That this is who I'm looking for out there, you know. This is it. Trust, faith, supportive, open-minded are our biggest options as so far. We have integrity, lovely. Someone was lovely. Oh, wise. All right, I like that. We have caring personality, sweet also. And the biggest one is God seeker right now. Very good. Supportive, faith, God seeker, open-minded, trust. Good listener, called Peter. Creative. There are actually a lot of Peters in our movement. If you just go to Germany and Austria, there's like at least one in your community. So a lot of Peters out there. Funny. Optimism. Honesty, sweet. So please write a question. Also, we will yes, there's so many good ones here. Intelligence, compromising, open-minded, loyalty, never give up. God's point of view person. Very good. Resilient, good listener, caring personality, called Peter, lovely, wise, mindful, sweet, kind, trustworthy, honesty, love, understanding, trustful, optimism, humble, clarity. Is that it? That can't be it. Anyways, perseverance, supportive, funny, God seeker, trust, open-minded. And I think I'm surprised not more people chose called Peter, because that's so important in any companion of faith, truly. So, all right. So, thank you. Very good. I think that it's always nice to hear, because it kind of gives you some hope, and it gives a warm feeling as well when you really get to these characteristics that we are seeking for. So, I think now that we are a bit more happy, a bit more smiley, I think it's good to start looking inwards a bit as well. And so please join me in prayer for today's session. Dear Heavenly Parent and your parents, thank you so much for this beautiful day. Thank you so much for this beautiful evening. It's so precious to have so many amazing brothers and sisters tonight. We all want to come here and to learn, to grow our hearts, to understand your providence, understand your heart, and grow deeper in our relationship to you. I pray that tonight we can open our hearts to be inspired, so that you can speak through our speakers tonight and really touch our hearts, so we may grow truly closer to you. So thank you so much for guiding all these amazing, inspiring brothers and sisters here tonight. I'd like to pray this on behalf of all the brothers and sisters here in my name, Peter, from Messenger Family. Jew. All right, so we will start now with our first lecture. But before that, remember there are questions and comments. So we will have question and comments after the two first speakers, then again after the third and fourth speaker. So please write your questions so that we have good questions. So with that, I would like to welcome up our first speakers for tonight. They are the ex-pastors, former pastors of South London, and so please welcome up Uncle Franklin and Auntie Cecile.
Okay. So good evening. It's really nice to see you all. It's I always feel such a blessing to be among young people and reminding myself that I was once in that thing, but being young. But one thing I realized actually being young, it's very important to learn many lessons because that time passed quicker than you think. So it's very important. I really like the title of today, being a companion of faith. I thought that's a great title. It's a really great title to be a companion of faith, meaning somehow to walk together, to walking together with God, walking together with each other, finding people, making relationship, So Cecile and I have been part of South London community for 24 years. And as Peter says, in the end of last year, we kind of stepped down to doing something different. But all along our journey, to be, even from the moment even of our marching of blessing, we've been striving to make that strong companion of faith, centering on God, centering on two parents, to making effort like any relationship to make a strong connection. So a companion is very important to have developing all the different points which you mentioned in the sense of what is important as in a companion. And for me, faith is quite important for me to have faith, but faith is not always as simple as it sounds. It requires effort, it requires perseverance, it requires investment to make it seem like a relationship.
Yeah, when I was reflecting on this topic and thought of what to share, and I was thinking back on our journey. We have been working together as pastors for many years, and this aspect of companionship is really important. And sometimes, especially as young people, sometimes I feel, we want. Or when I'm young, I want to be a leader. I want to be somebody who it takes charge and is in charge and can make decisions and guide and direct things and so on. But the longer that our journey has gone, or my journey has gone, the more I come to realize that actually it's not about being a leader at all. It's really much more being about being a companion to God, companion with my husband, companion to people who we are taking care of and kind of helping in their life of faith. Because sometimes, I guess in our church, many times we talk about leadership a lot, or that's what I have heard a lot of kind of leadership. But it sometimes brings, even it brings some kind of pressure on oneself, I feel, because it requires, oh, I have to know a lot. I have to be the one who understands everything. I have to be the one who has the answers, whatever, you know, and it puts a lot of pressure on oneself. But if we are more a companion of faith to each other, then it's much more to do with the heart. It's much more to do with one's personality. It's much more to do with really reaching out to others and being there for others, supporting others. And I don't have to have all the answers, but yeah, and I think that is kind of important point, something I've come to realize more and more as I go this journey, to really see the value of being there together with each other. Do you want to say something about that?
Making strong community, it's when you're working on making a strong community, this last few years, you know, it's been very difficult in the sense that when we didn't meet, when we didn't see each other, it's been very difficult, and I think it brings a lot of emotional pain in people's heart, much more, a lot of trauma in people's heart, because sometimes you get so you're forgetting almost how to relate with each other or need each other. I mean, the Zoom has been a good way of communicating, but it shows when, you know, I become, what I say, I become off Zoom. I feel kind of, when I hear the word Zoom, it just make me scream. For this type of meeting is good, but local community, when they still choose to meet by Zoom, I'm thinking, why, for goodness sake, don't you want to see each other? Don't you want to, even when we're doing Zoom, and even when I see a screen where I cannot see the person, I just see the name, but I probably never seen you before, but if I see your face come up, I can relate better than just the name. So this is just show that the Zoom, I want to see your face. I want to see what you look like. So when I'm seeing just a black screen with just a name, well, it can be any name. That the relationship I could make with those whom face I can see is very different. It's very different than a screen with a name on. You know, a screen with a name on, I cannot make a relationship with you. The relationship I would like to make with you, even on this Zoom call, I cannot fully make that because it's just a name. I cannot just do that. And meeting face to face, or we've always, before we step down, we always try to meet. Even if it was 30 people, we try to meet 30 people. Whatever way, we try to keep that connection, keep that companionship. And there's many people that is very lonely in a community. Old people is lonely, young people is lonely. I like that when he says, call Peter, call Peter, call Jane, call whoever you call. It's very important. That is showing your heart and making a relationship as part of a community.
Yeah, I would second that, really. There's something which cannot beat the personal connection, and what people really like, I think anybody, is if you just contact somebody or call someone without any real purpose, you know, apart from just saying, hello, how are you okay? And I think if we can come to that kind of point where I'm just interested in people and I'm just wondering, how are they? That for a person says a lot, because every person wants to feel that actually, I'm important. I am someone, you know. I'm not just a number or somebody who is asked to do something, but people have real interest in me. And when it comes to witnessing and reaching out, I think that is a very important point. It's really, how are you really? And trying to understand what is going on in the other person's heart and mind, and really listening to them. I have one guest who kind of shares a lot about different things, and then many times it's the same sharing again and again. And then I really pray and think, what is it she's trying to express? What is it that she's trying to bring across? And it's after a long time often that one suddenly realizes, it's this. This is the point. This is what it is. And that can be more, sometimes a bit hidden, you know. It's not just what people say on face value, but people often use stories or say things, but the deeper thing they really want to communicate is more hidden. So listening is important. And I think for witnessing and reaching out to people, if one can develop that ability, it's very important. And it's not easy. It really requires to put oneself aside. And that is really a journey, I find. I've seen through the time that we have been pastors in South London, it was a growing process for both of us to come to a point where we can let go of what is in me. It's not about me. It's not about myself. It's really about the other person. And people, I think that's what people love, you know, that's what people feel attracted to. Because in our society today, people are just numbers, just busy, just rushing around. And that, yeah. So that is a very important aspect. And I feel like that we can be companions of, you know, companions to each other and help each other in one's faith.
When you talk about what works, what event shall I do, what works and what doesn't work, well, I don't know if you can really easily find what works. You know, you tried and then you try something again. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. You can have fun trying until you find something that works, you know, through constant communication, sharing, ideas come, you know, it's, if you find a good idea straight up, that's good. But I think it's, if I was young, well, I'm still young again, right? I would try and make all kind of a different type of things, you know, because there's all different type of people out there, you know, and I try to make life fun, you know, just fun. Try to find different projects. There's lots of things out there that young people is dealing with, that is they feel challenged with. Not only young people, but even the elderly people. Or project. Young people should not necessarily just focus only on young people. Young people can also do things for older people, which can give hope or inspiration to older people. If a bunch of young people organize something and they invite people that is much older than them and work on that, making companion of faith with them, like their parents' age, maybe they might have better connection than with their parents if they reach out to other people, you know. So all these things I think is good.
Yeah. Maybe how to deal with success when one is really successful. I think it's great to have, it's great to be successful. It really feels like something very deeply satisfying, fulfilling. Some things are working out. And years ago, I was wondering, why do when people write, we get letters from Korea and so on, it's always, first of all, offering gratitude to God and to parents, every single time in everything that is written. And years ago, I was wondering, why do they always say that? And the same sentence again and again and again. And it's now, after many years, I've come to realize just how much it's this aspect of offering gratitude to God and to parents. That's really where the success comes from in the end, I feel. Of course, we do our part and we invest ourselves wholeheartedly and to do whatever we can. And we allow ourselves to be used, and our abilities to be used, our abilities to talk, to share, to pass on things, and ultimately it's kind of offering that back to God and to parents. It's very beautiful, but for me it has taken a long time to come to fully see that, to be honest. It's taken years to fully appreciate and see that and the depth of it. I just wanted to share that. And also in taking care of others, I think as you take care of others, you grow immensely yourself too. It's kind of like a two-way thing. So for us, it's been a huge blessing to have been in public mission for many years. It's been our greatest blessing, I think, because through that we have gained so much, not just, in contributing, giving to others, but really for our own self, our own life, and our own spiritual awareness and insights. So if you have a chance to, and you kind of have some public mission in whatever way, it's truly a blessing, I would say. Yeah.
Your time.
Yeah. How much more many minutes do we have?
4 or 5 minutes, roughly.
Okay.
What was the other point?
Yeah. Also, maybe something about whenever you have, when we have a responsibility, of course, things are required of us. We can't just be horizontal. We can't just be kind of humanistic, because it doesn't work, and people don't want that. But I think this of being deeply just allowing oneself to be an instrument for God and to parents through one's, and to pray, to study, to really grow oneself. And as one grows oneself, one has more to give to others.
At one point, often, people think, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. Well, that when I hear that expression, I'm not good enough, I feel sometimes that really makes me a bit sad, really, because we're all good enough, because God trusts us, and we might not have all the ability or skill that you want, but but God, you can continuously knock in yourself, I'm not good enough, I'm rubbish, I'm not good enough, my value is what, but God values us. I think it's always important to remember that we are good enough. I meet this week, I meet a 75-year-old lady, and I can still hear the same tone. I'm not good enough. I'm doing nothing. I wish I can do more. But then when you hear what she's doing, she is doing quite a lot. So I think it's important to recognize the things which we are doing. It might not be a lot because of your is what you consider a lot. But if you're taking steps, then steps is any steps you take, you're moving along, right? You're moving along. You're not just standing still. I think, but if we knock ourselves all the time that we are not good enough, or I cannot talk, or I cannot do things. I've been there. I've been there. Now maybe people would say I talk too much. Where like a person like me, I would 5 words was plenty, right? 5 words was plenty. But over the years, you allow yourself, as you say, open yourself so that God can work and use you.
Another point also I would say is don't compare yourself to others. Each one of you has unique abilities, and each one of you is a unique person, and God created you exactly that way for a reason, the way you are. And it's about finding what you have that you can give, and it's different from anyone else. So don't go and compare yourself and say, oh, this person is doing that, I should be doing that too, or this person is doing like this, we should be doing that too. Find your own way of bringing across, or from the abilities that God has given you. And each one of you has something beautiful, something special, something unique that you can contribute.
Okay, I think that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's
I hope it's meaningful to listen to your question.
Yeah, well, you can ask questions later and see, or something you wonder about that you haven't covered, maybe please ask later on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Uncle Franklin and Aunt Cecile. Can we give a round of applause? That was very, very good. I think there was a lot to take away from there, even though they said they wouldn't have a PowerPoint. I think I wouldn't have wanted to have a PowerPoint. That was very nice and very personal, and I really think they set a really good spirit for tonight. And so we won't have questions just now with you, and before that we will have another speaker. And is this speaker here? I cannot see the speaker. Yes, I believe the speaker is here. There we go. It is our next speaker for today is Uncle Dieter. And Uncle Dieter, actually, when me, Vicky, and Ben started off a few years back now, Uncle Dieter was actually our central figure. So, in many ways, for us to all be here tonight is in many ways thanks to our Uncle Dieter. So please give him a round of applause.
So you want me to start?
Please.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, first I want to thank Franklin and Cecile. I could hear the end of your sharing, and also for me it was very, very nice to hear your guidance. So it's always good to hear. Yeah, I don't know, I was not asked to have a PowerPoint, but I heard you hadn't one, so maybe it's good. I also had one. But I want to start with something to Father, because in one way I understand the topic is about your spiritual companion or faith companion. And I have to say, with all what I will share personally afterwards, I feel that to Father in one way is my #1 faith companion. And I want to share a little bit from his, very short from his Peace-Loving Global Citizen, which you all read. And there is this very nice chapter where he says, "You are my spiritual teacher." And I will not read the whole thing, just one part. And it starts like when Father came back from North Korea and finally out of Hunnam, and he was a beggar, and he arrived in Busan, and he was begging for food. And if somebody wouldn't give food, then he would speak loudly to him, that is not good. So he kept his dignity even in this most miserable circumstances. And then it happened, then this one man, Duk Moon Yong, a friend of him, realized who he was, and he invited him to his house. And I will just read this. So, let's go, he said, as he embraced me in my wretched clothes. Let's go to my home. By that time, Duk Mun Om had married. He had lived together with his family in a single room. To make room for me, he hung a quilt down the middle of that room, dividing it with one side for me. On the other side, he slept with his wife and 2 young children. Now he said, tell me about your life lately. I always wondered where you were and what you might be doing. We were close friends, he said, but you have always been more than a friend to me. Did you know that I always held you in great respect? Up to that point, I have never shared my heart candidly with any of my friends. In Japan, I went so far to hide the fact that I often read the Bible. If someone came into my room when I was reading, I would quickly put the Bible away. But in the home of Duk Moon Om, I shared my story for the first time. I spoke throughout the night. I told him of my encounter with God, coming to the 38th parallel, starting a church and surviving Hungnam prison. My story took a full 3 days to tell. When I finished, Duk Monum stood and knelt down before me in a full ceremonial bow. What are you doing? I asked in shock and surprise. I grabbed his hand and tried to stop him, but it was no use. I could not. From this moment on, said Duk Monum, you are my great spiritual teacher. This bow is my greeting to you as my teacher, so please accept it. He has been with me ever since, both as my friend and as my disciple. Yeah, I wanted to share that because I think when we talk about a companion of faith, there is some bonding starts from heart to heart. And when I was witness to, in your age maybe, my spiritual father, Klaus Hartmann, he became, let's say, my first faith companion because he witnessed to me, but I felt a very close heart-to-heart relationship. I could relate to him. And then what was important for me, at that time, when you were joining this movement, it's a little bit maybe still the same, you were suddenly being introduced to a faith which was a revolution because it was really different or new for what Christianity would have said. And you would have doubts, and you hear the principle about the fall of man, is that the truth? So I had often, going back and forth and really thinking, is that really true? Because it meant I would make the biggest change in my life. I would leave my old life behind and go into this movement, move into some kind of center. So to be very honest, it was very difficult in moments. And here I could speak to him, and he was for me like a rock in this kind of storm. And sometimes there were little things and you were confused. You read maybe something negative. Are you really think, is that true? And why would you leave your old life? You had a good family, you can study, everything is fine. Why should I leave this? So in that sense, he was really the one who helped me very much in the beginning. And the next step, I have to say, as I grew up in our movement, had my experiences and grew up, and as you know, I was a young member in this movement. I began to study medicine as a pioneer. I went to the city called Erlangen, and maybe some of you know that city. And there I was still quite young member, and by myself. I had a nice room, and in the house of one family who I was living with. And of course, there were many questions, many challenges. But interestingly, I experienced something with my so-called able figure. My able figure was the community leader in Nuremberg, which is around, I think, 20 kilometers away. from Erlangen, and I would go there over the weekend. But at that time, we were very much educated in the understanding to have unity between Cain and Abel. So he was my central figure. He was, let's say, my Abel figure. And at that time, believe it or not, every evening I would go and call him and report to him about my day. And the amazing thing was, he was really not a student, and he had no idea about medicine. But what happened was, when I would share, he will give me sometimes answers or suggestions where I was so surprised, because I felt like God is working. And I have to really tell you one thing. My whole life in this movement, I have always experienced when I could make a good relationship with my so-called central figure, God somehow gave me often answers, or I felt he was speaking through him. Of course, not always. There are also other stories. I don't want to go into that. But it really helped me a lot to share to a person about your heart. So in that sense, I grew up like this. And then after some time, as you know, I then quickly also got into the position of being a so-called leader, or at that time we said leader, maybe today we say different way. So as you know, I was a long time CARP leader, and then I became national leader, 17 years to be honest. And now we could offer this to another couple, but I am still in the position, as I think you saw it, of a so-called regional president. That's in one way not important for me. For me is most important heart-to-heart relationships I can build up. But in this position, you often have to really think how can you help a person? I mean, that's almost like constantly you are trying to inspire, or to are trying to encourage, or to are trying to solve questions. That's almost the most natural thing. So in a way, you become now a way of a face companion to brothers and sisters and whatever. But I have to say, maybe the experience lately, which have been one of my most dear experience, is when we were looking for a new national leader of one nation. And so then we prayed a lot, and finally this quite young person accepted to become the national leader. And so from that on, I felt such a big, together with Anna, my wife, big responsibility to really take care of that person. So, because, I really want that it works well, so it doesn't, burn somebody out. So we really felt like this maybe parental heart. And since that time, it's now several years, we have really this close relationship. So it's so beautiful. She will write, if there is something happening where she has a question, or, I try in many ways often to respond, but it's a kind of a very deep heart-to-heart relationship. And I realized when you are in such a position where you are maybe asked, you should lead other or inspire other brothers and sisters, you have to pray a lot, because you want to give an answer which is not your own answer, but somehow, you try to find the answer with your give and take with Heavenly Parent or with the two parent. So in that sense, many times, you have to ask yourself, what would God say? What would be the answer of Heavenly Parent, of two parents? So that becomes like a habit, because in one way, don't we want to have God's viewpoint? As you know, this is the most difficult thing, or was the first thing which we lost, was the viewpoint of God. in our guidance, in our attitude, in our life of faith. So, and that's a constant struggle. And so in that sense, you know, we need to really, when we want to be a companion of faith, we should not bring the person to yourself, but we should always have in mind to lead the person to God, to Heavenly Parent, or to two parents. So that kind of attitude I felt is very, very significant, very important. And this is also the reason why I actually follow two parents, because I felt they bring me to God. They are not a guru, they are not, you know, something like this, but they bring me to the heart of God. So in that sense, when we are in leaders or parental position, you have a big responsibility, and you need also a life-to-life companion. And my number one faith companion, of course, on a daily basis is my wife. So she's more than just my wife. Anna, she is, I would say, for me, amazing. And I feel she's so often my internal able, or she will quickly bring me back to concentrate on the mission or whatever it is. But also she gives me a kind of secure and even a protection, a spiritual protection. So in that sense, when you have such a partner of life, if it's possible, and she can be also your faith companion, that's an incredible blessing. So especially when you have a very intense mission, you have to have somebody who brings you up maybe when you are down, or gives you the little things you need in moments when maybe your spirit is not so high. Or anyway, so in that sense, I think, to make the story not too long, I don't know how long, I heard I should speak around 15 minutes. So in that case, if I can summarize, I would say, first, it is wonderful you find your faith companion. It has to be somebody where you feel he brings you to Heavenly Parent, to two parents. I think that's very vital. And then when you become maybe yourself somebody like this, it's a high responsibility, and it's the most precious thing, because we should never misuse if somebody trusts us. That is the reason why many have left our movement, because they felt betrayed. So that's something it's the most maybe sacred thing, to have the heart-to-heart relationship, and then to help one another. And especially, there are things in life, we need maybe different faith companions, sometimes more a parent person, but sometimes somebody in our age, who has maybe the similar problem. As you know, often there's a lot of shame or fear when we have done something wrong. So I'm very happy that now we have a good guidance through the possibilities to share also this maybe sexual difficulties we had. It has come out much more to talk about it, which is liberating. So, and I think in that way, there's many good things happening in our movement at this time, because at the end of the day, I think we should be all free and powerful in front of Heavenly Parent and two parents, and be sure that God through parents, and in my case also Jesus, is always there to help us, to liberate us, to forgive us, to encourage us, and to see the, let's say, not the 5% which are maybe not good in us, but the 95 which are really beautiful. So in that sense, if you can feel that and dig deep, make deep roots in your life of faith, this is so precious, because our time needs such people who can be an inspiration for others. Yeah, I don't know. That's maybe, I don't know how you go about, if you have questions afterwards or want to know more. I think that's maybe about what my time, I was set around 15 minutes. So I think that's what I use now.
That was very good. Well, before the questions, we would like to give a round of applause for our amazing Uncle Dieter Schmidt for sharing with us. So now we will have questions, and we would then like to invite up Uncle Franklin and Auntie Cecile as well. So the format is very simple. Our dear participants have sent questions to questions and comments, and questions and comments, we'll post them in the chat, and I will read them to you. So to Auntie Cecile, how do you give love and appreciation to two parents? I believe that's something that you mentioned during your talk.
Yes, how do I do that? Yeah, over the years, it's really building a connection of heart. And when I like praying when I go outside, and when I walk to places, I like to use the time to pray. And something I do often is I invite two parents to walk with me, and sort of really make it quite personal, that relationship, not distant from myself, but try to include it in my daily life, or share what is happening in my life. And then when things happen, then I think that that connection is more strongly there, and it's easy to, it's more easier to just be grateful and offer gratitude for what they have given. And as I've gone through this course for many years, I come to appreciate just how much two parents have done for us, which is amazing. And I think it's not something, you know, you need to experience it yourself. You need to start the journey yourself. It's not some words are words, but it's the experience which is important. And as you then walk through life, make effort to build that connection, that personal connection with your parents, and then it becomes much more very natural to offer gratitude.
Thank you so much, Auntie Cecile. We have quite a lot of questions. We'll jump right ahead to the next. We actually have a comment first, and it says, comment, Dieter is the ultimate companion of faith. And I think every time we have Uncle Dieter Schmidt, there's one specific brother who I know it is, makes comments like this, which is nice. We have an admirer in the crowd. So the question is, Uncle Dieter, how do you balance your life of faith and being a doctor?
Yeah, to be honest, I came back 10 minutes to 8 from my clinic today. And I was praying then. The good thing is that my work as a doctor is not so much different than what is happening now, because just before my last patient was a young boy, and he had a terrible diagnosis of having a tumor in his testicles, Boden, I don't know,
Intestines.
So that's a big shock, right? And so then how do you help him? So, and so we shared very deeply. And so in that kind of situation, it's, you have to find a way that they can open up and dig. And then I often pray, and I feel God is telling me. So for me, this kind of work is not so different. But on the other hand, there are things you cannot share with them, you cannot share freely about two parents and life of faith. You can maybe indirectly. So I always feel, because I can see how much need people have for, let's say, to find the truth, or how precious are the principle and the two parents. And that gives me a lot of inspiration and power. So I'm not really tired at the end of the day. because of this give and take I have with them. So in that sense, I'm not switching, from one world to the other so much. It's a little bit like a continuation. But to be very honest, it's a training, and also, it has been my whole life in the movement. I have been a student studying, which is the opposite of witnessing, because you have to concentrate. So it's like a line which I had always done, and even when I became leader, I was continuing my work as a doctor. And it's possible. And I would even say it is a very good way, because in that way, it's a balance, you can see sometimes really what's happening in this society, what people go through. And for me, I can see then the value of the principle. But you have to also take time sometimes for yourself. So I'm also very good in taking a break. I'm very good in having my half-hour rest at the day. I take half-hour nap, a power break. And I have also not a bad conscience when I do something nice, let's say when I go maybe in the nature, or invite my wife for a nice dinner or lunch. So I can enjoy also such moments. And I have the slogan, God wants to enjoy through us life. And there is one 11th commandment, which is not in the Bible. It's my own invention, but I always say it, which is don't live a boring life, right? So that's one of my so-called slogans or whatever. Yeah, it is possible. And I would tell you, you will be, you have less time when you do both, but maybe you become more determined. So I can only tell you, if you are studying, please also continue with some kind of spiritual mission at the same time. Otherwise, you will dry out at some time.
Excellent. That's an amazing answer. Although what I could relate to most is that I'm also good at taking breaks, although they're maybe a bit longer than half an hour. All right. Next question. This is for all of so I ask you to keep to short answers here.
Okay.
So all of you get to answer. When could you be the best companion of faith for the brothers and sisters around you?
When is there time? I think any time you can strive to be the best companion that you can be.
Maybe when and how. Let's add a how in there.
How? Well, just try to be genuine. Try to be yourself. Be genuine and try to be yourself. People, we are all spiritual people, and we can feel when someone is sincere. So that's the best you can be. If you're just trying to be fake or just put it on, that doesn't help anyone, because we can sense the genuine feeling of people around us. That's me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is, I was also going to say, one has to be very sincere. Also, many times I ask myself, do I have enough in me to really give sincerely? Do I have, not just because I was supposed to or ought to, but what is the real feeling in me, and do I have enough to really give? Because people pick up on that, they will know and they will feel it, like Franklin said. And I think that is very precious. It's not about ourselves, it's really about letting go of what is in oneself, being there for others and seeing others, being really seeing people. I grew up, I wanted to hide away from people. I wanted to hide in the woods somewhere and have a little cottage somewhere. And through the years, I've really come to appreciate people. And now people used to frighten me, but now I can see them and see, oh, they are beautiful people, every person, to discover that, the beauty in others. And if we can touch on something, see something in others, then you have some connection, which you can really become a companion and be a companion to others.
Okay, I will make it short. Thank you. I think when is the best time when the person is most in need. Then if you can be there, then that is amazing. I have a friend, and he went through a terrible time when his wife tried to kill herself. So I'm living here in Flensburg, and that happened around Nuremberg. So the next weekend I was going up there to meet him, and also saw her in the hospital. And that's something he never forgot, because that was really a moment when he was really down and didn't know how to go on. So if we in such a moment can really show that we care and are able to overcome our own limitations, I think that is something when we are at our best. And maybe you don't even have to say so much, but just to be there in that very moment can be incredible for that person.
Thank you very much. We are actually out of time for the questions and comments, but I think we've received so much from all three of you. So can we give a big round of applause for our dear precious speakers for tonight? Thank you so much. We will now have a short song break, and we will see you in, I think it's 5 minutes or so.
A bitter sound, know it well, it's ringing in my ears, and I can't understand why I'm not fixed by now. Begged and I have pleaded, take this pain, but I'm still bleeding. I trust you for certain, head says it's not working. I'm stuck here, still hurting, but you tell me you're making a masterpiece. You're shaping a soul in me. You're moving where I can't see, and all I am is in your hands. You're taking me all apart, like you was your plan from the start, to finish your work of art for all to see. You're making a masterpiece. Guess I'm your canvas, beautiful black and blue, painted in mercy's hue. I don't see past this, but you see me now. Who I'll be then, there at the end, standing there as your masterpiece. You're shaping the soul in me. You're moving where I can't see, and all I am is in your hands. You're taking me all apart, like it's not working. You're making a masterpiece. You're shaping the soul in me. You're moving where I can't see. No, I am. It's in your hands. You're taking me all apart, like it was your plan from the start to finish your work of art for all to see. You're making a masterpiece. You're making a masterpiece. I'll be your masterpiece.
All right. You are making a masterpiece of me. I feel very much the participants are making me better and making me strive to become a better MC. And here we are. It's beautiful stuff, right? A beautiful song. And speaking of making a masterpiece of me, the next speaker we have tonight is a dear older brother who's supported me a lot, and I hope that he can inspire us tonight. So please welcome up my dear older brother, Antto Hassinen.
Thanks a lot, Peter, and good evening, brothers and sisters. I'd really appreciate if your video is not on and you're not in the middle of eating or on the toilet, that you switch your camera on. Just makes me feel even more happy. But already I'm seeing lots of wonderful faces, so I'm really appreciating it. First of all, I really want to acknowledge that after the amazing brothers and sisters that just talked before me, I feel like I'm out of their league. But yeah, also I was thinking, I was thinking tactically, not to prepare a PPT just in case the speakers before me make the same points, so I don't repeat them. What I didn't expect is that basically Dieter said all the points I wanted to say, so I just have the jokes left. Peter, shall I still go ahead? Okay, good. No, just kidding. I mean, he actually got like 75% of the main points I wanted to make, but I'll just repeat them maybe from a different perspective, from a different angle. So, wonderful. I'm happy to see a few more faces coming on screen. So when I think of companion of faith, the first thing I think of is what a wise man once said, that faith is a journey. If anyone knows who that wise man was, please let me know. I don't know either. But for me, this image is very powerful. So if faith is a journey, then as companions of faith, we are on a journey together. And this implies that we're going in a certain direction together. And I think the previous speakers were indicating this as well. And actually all of you were indicating this in the icebreaker as well, that we're God seekers. So if you will, that we're all on a journey to seek God, find God in our own hearts and embody our Heavenly Parent. So yeah. And then when we think about this, okay, we're on a journey and you know, we're on a journey to seek God or reach maturity. The next question is, who else is on this journey except me? And everyone can make some thoughts. Maybe some people think, okay, it's brothers and sisters on this call. Yeah. It's the other blessed children. Yeah. The first generation. Yeah. Who else? Basically, whatever you said is probably the right answer, because I think everyone is on this journey, right? Everyone out in the world is, you know, on the journey to become a godly, divine person, whether they're aware of it or not. So when I think of this word companion of faith, I want to really, and if I think about myself as a companion of faith, I want to really be a companion of faith to anyone that I meet, whether it's at work or Sunday service or, just greeting a neighbor or having the shortest encounter. I feel like whenever I meet someone, this person is also on the journey, and is there something I can do to encourage this person or support this person on their journey? And it doesn't mean that that I go around preaching to everyone, being like, oh, my mother, she went once to a computer repair shop, and then there was a nice guy, young man, and she was, oh, that's a good guy. And she said the usual first generation greeting, being like, oh, do you believe in God? And this kind of thing. You can do that, absolutely. That's definitely a good way, but even more, I feel what is impactful is indeed, what is not said. And touching point with what Dieter said, True Father was an absolutely amazing companion of faith. And what made him a great companion of faith, it was not the speeches that he gave. I think very, very few of our parents joined because True Father gave great speeches. In fact, most of our parents probably slept through most of the speeches that they were listening to. I mean, to be honest, right? And also when we think about the different situations where True Father was, where he was not able to even speak to anyone. So in Hunan prison or in Danbury had a language barrier, but still, the people that spent time with him, they managed to grow during this time, and they gained something out of these days or months that they spent together. And whatever True Father was showing was something beyond words. It was his attitude and his lifestyle, probably his kindness that he was showing. So as a companion of faith, I feel also this is the most important quality that you can have. The unspoken things that you express, the inspiration that you give through your own example, through your own way of life. And I also like to take here this comparison of maybe you've heard this, that you are the average of the 12 people that you spend the most time with. Perhaps you've heard this in some self-help books or something. And it's good to consider what kind of companions of faith do I surround myself with, but also for which people am I one of those 12, and what do I impart on those people? What do people get when they absorb 1/12 of me? If I'm one of the ones moving the average of other people's character. So I'm putting this more as an open question for everyone to maybe think about sometime. And there was also this great question previously to the previous speakers: when is the best time to be a companion of faith? And I think the best answer to that is now. You don't have any other time except right now. You can't do anything yesterday. You can't do anything tomorrow. You can only do something right now. So and this is something that I try to keep in mind as well, regardless of the interaction. How can I be someone who lifts others up and gives them energy, motivates them, and sometimes also, corrects them. So I can absolutely disagree with people and clash with people. But, what kind of a heart do I do that with? And, do I lose another person's respect because I disagree with them? Doesn't have to be that way. Often we most respect people that we actually disagree with. So at least sometimes that is the case when a person has a great character. So yeah, that's the kind of constant thinking, how can I embody Heavenly Parent as much as possible so that it motivates others. When we talk about this need for the companions of faith and kind of this, these 12 people, also what's tied together with this is the principled terminology. We've got the 95% of God's responsibility and 5% of my responsibility. Where do we know 5% is 100% of my effort. So where do the other 95% come from? Did anyone ever think about this? Like, yeah, it feels like, God is not really doing that much to help me in the end. Did anyone ever entertain this thought, or am I the only rebellious person who disagrees with the principle? Thanks, Cecile and Mireille and Robin. I think a few of you make me feel less rebellious now. Yeah, I think God works a lot through those 12 people around me. That's God's 95%. So this also brings us to a very interesting point. Sometimes, maybe when we think about companion of faith, and maybe these talks have been a lot about what do I do for others? But if we come back to this idea that we're on a journey together, it's never going to be a situation where I only keep giving, where I'm the whole time the one that's giving. A real companion is someone that you can count on as well. So I think all of you have, this kind of a heart and character to serve others. And as we know from True Father, the one who serves the most often becomes, the owner and the leader. So beware, what's awaiting for you. But especially in that situation when we have this kind of a heart, and I think this is an issue that many of us have who really want to give, really want to invest. For us, it's sometimes very difficult to allow others to be our companions and daring to ask for help. We need it, which is an extremely important thing, because only this way we can have the true give and take. So sometimes you do need practical help or advice, or sometimes just need to share with someone. A good example that me and Jonghae, my wife, just have experienced recently is our little daughter Ellen being born, and we're living in Vienna, Austria. Neither one of us has immediate family around us, and if you have a small baby, it's tough. You spend a lot of sleepless nights, and you're exhausted. You don't have time to do the dishes, do shopping and stuff like this. So we had to find it in ourselves also to ask for help from our community, and we did it quite a lot. And we're both people who like to give, but we were just in a situation where we had to ask for help, and it feels, in a sense, that this kind of give and take really allows us to have a true friendship with people, a true companionship with others. I know there are a few people here from my community also here who are smiling, and thank you for your support as well. Yeah, so that's one point I want to make. So as a companion of faith, ask for support as well. Don't always focus on just giving. Sometimes you need that 95% from others. So if we're companions, especially if we think we as a movement, but even as a wider society, especially now as a movement, we want to be a family. And what comes from that is that we help each other at difficult times. So please don't shy away from, if you have difficulties or problems, to just keep them on your own and try to hide it from other people. It's good to share with someone and allow those 95% of support to come to you. So whether that's in a group or on a one-on-one setting, of course, if it's a one-on-one setting, it's good to do it with someone who's vertically above you, in a sense. Otherwise, if it's a horizontal thing, then that can, from experience, it's easier, but can create more problems. So it's very important to go to someone who can actually help you and not just share the difficulty. And again, switching it the other way around, a problem that may happen to many of you in the future, or maybe it's already happening. You are in a position of responsibility. You're an amazing older brother, amazing older sister, and someone comes to you with their problem, with their issues. There's a bit of a practical advice. Keep also in mind when you are not the right person to help. This is a very important part of being a true companion of faith. We help our brothers and sisters to others who can really help them. So if there is an issue that's too big for you, that you don't know how to support this person, this can actually hinder you as well. So in those cases, it's very good to encourage brothers and sisters to connect to someone more experienced who can really help with this, whether it be Blessed Family Department or local pastor or something like this. Okay, coming to the final minute, I want to spend reflecting on the qualities of a great companion of faith, things that we all need to do. And of course, we know the first thing is to change our name to Peter. But what else can we do? Who is a good companion of faith? And I think the key thing is someone who's growing. So you need to grow yourself. Because if we think that we are on that journey of faith, the best companion is someone who's moving. And that is someone who can inspire others and take others with us. So what we need for that is a clear vision, a clear direction. We need to know where we're going in order to inspire others to go that way as well. And then we need to also show this. So we need to really be someone who invests into our cause, into this vision, so maybe in a public role. And then the other part of this is absolutely someone who's embracing. And I think Dieter was talking about this heart-to-heart relationship, and the fortunes as well. We're talking about this, having empathy and compassion, even though you have a great standard and you're doing very well with things. We encounter brothers and sisters who are struggling. And the most important thing as a companion of faith is not to be arrogant, not to look things as black and white. And I want to be very clear. We have to be very clear about what is right and wrong. But brothers and sisters need to really feel embraced, not judged, but someone who's really grasping their hearts and giving them the motivation to improve themselves. So yeah, and I think the final takeaway I want to give, now being already a bit over time, is a true companion of faith is not someone that you think is a leader. The greatest leaders in our movement that I've met are people who've been appointed by true parents themselves into their position. And when I meet them, I don't feel for a second that, wow, there's a great leader in front of me. I just feel like this is my brother or my sister. And that is the number one feeling that I have for these people. And that is why, I really look up to them, not because of their position, but because it's my brother and I love him, or my sister and I love her. So that's kind of the same for me, and hopefully the same for all of you, that none of us is seeking to be a leader. All of us should really just seek to be a brother or a sister, and putting that as a priority at all times. And I believe that is the way for us to really become the ultimate companions of faith. Thank you.
All right, can we give a round of applause for our dear brother Antto? Yes, we will have quite a few questions for our brother Antto, but before that, we have another speaker. and I believe she is with us right now. I'm just waiting for. There we go. So please, our next speaker, our dear older sister, and who's working very hard for this foundation program behind this Zoom, and so she is definitely a good companion face. I please welcome you all to open your ears and hearts for our dear older sister Yoshiko Pammer.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. And can you hear me okay? Because I'm not used to using this computer. Okay, great. Yeah, there's been already so much amazing content, I think. So I'll just add a few points. Like Antto said, a lot of the good points have already been said, but that just shows how true they are. Yeah, I thought maybe just to start off, yeah, I think Auntie Cecilia mentioned this point where we start off the main source of when we're thinking about being a good companion of faith ourselves is to think of, what was our source actually for us. So to first think about for yourself, who was someone who made an impact in your spiritual life? Just to really take time to start from that point. I remember I was on a workshop a few years ago where we watched a film, I forgot what it's called, A Good Man or something. And afterwards we were asked to think about who's a good person in your life. And I took it like this, like the person who's made that kind of impact in my spiritual life. And it really, when you really think about it, this can really bring you to tears, and you realize how much these people, really changed your life, how much they mean to you. And this can be a big source of energy for you, I think, and spiritual power. So to start from there, they really help to shape you, who you are. And I had to think of those people for me growing up, on workshops and stuff. I struggled actually a lot kind of to relate to other second gen actually. Couldn't relate easily or make friends. But then there were some older people, either older uncles or aunties or older brothers. Actually, in my case, they were older brothers who really, I felt, saw me and saw my potential, and just took time to get to know who I was. And it was just that simple act of making me feel cared for that made such a big impact for me, that I felt like, oh, there's more to me than I thought, and that was just like the start of a journey. And yeah, on the one hand, there are these people I think of automatically who, let's say, who provided this more feeling of loving, this kind of softer approach of feeling cared for. And then there's other people I think of, for example, my mum, who are very on the other side, helped me to grow spiritually, but in a harder way. So she was usually the one who was very sharp to kind of point out something that needed to be corrected, right? And she was, more strict Japanese mom, but actually she was also a huge influence on the fact that I'm still here. So just to acknowledge these people, it's not always sweet. It can also be sometimes more bitter, but they're all important. And I guess I wanted to share about just a couple of experiences I had, maybe good and bad, of how I experienced being able to help others or not. And I wanted to share about one good experience I had when I was getting more, taking more responsibility, starting to help run some workshops, organize workshops. And there was a younger second gen. I grew up with always with younger second gen under me, actually. I was usually just, my communities. And there was one who I hadn't seen for many years, but then I heard from her mom she already had a boyfriend, and even though we weren't in touch for a long time, I just called her up like a cold call and just was like, oh hi, and just was telling her I was organizing this workshop and do you want to come? It was a bit of a long shot, but DP workshop. And yeah, I think somehow because we had this connection of heart from when we were young, she looked up to me as an older sister, and she just really out of the blue just ended up coming very spontaneously. It was like 1 week later. And anyway, yeah, on that workshop, we had a prayer evening, and she had an experience there where everyone had to pray out loud, and it really made her cry, like just that prayer evening. And even though she was in a completely different place, somehow, yeah, I think for me the lesson there was somehow you can just also give people the chance to you can just guide people sometimes to a place where you don't have to do all the work, kind of thing. I just okay, I had a longer term connection with her, so it was on the foundation of that, but then just inviting her to a place where I thought it could help her, and being bold enough to sometimes do that, to make that move, and then she could be in a place where she could have her own personal meeting with God, her own experience. So I didn't have to do much there. Of course, I was doing the workshop, but yes, in the background. But a lot of the times it's just guiding people into guiding them into a place where they can do their own part, right, and meet God in their own way. I think I've had a lot of experiences similar to that, where I felt I could impact actually people who were younger than me much more easily, because they already had they could look up to me, they respected me somehow, and maybe I felt, I could talk in a way that they listened to what I said. But then on the other hand, and then maybe I felt this kind of more loving heart towards them. But I've also had really a lot of bad experiences. I have to admit, this is actually, this is a difficult topic for me, because I know I've also, let's say, committed a lot of crimes, spiritual crimes, I feel, where I've, I feel like I've damaged some relationships because of, let's call it spiritual arrogance. So when I was, especially after STF and getting more on the front line, getting very serious about, taking responsibility. And at the same time, those friends of mine who did the whole same thing, they did STF, they did everything. They were doing exactly the opposite, right? They were like falling away, their blessings were breaking. And I couldn't believe this. And I was just like, I had no compassion. We heard that word today, but maybe because they were my peers, right? We were the same age. And so honestly, I didn't have enough that heart, I guess, that really loving heart enough towards them, that I just stopped going to the things that they were going to. I didn't see the point anymore in hanging out with them, because I thought, what is the point? It's such a waste of time. I just wanted to do things that I thought were worthwhile. So I was, investing myself there. But yeah, that really created a lot of damage, I have to say, and that's still something really painful for me that I'm still trying to repair. But I had some experiences then where I thought, because we had a good relationship with some of those best friends of mine, that when it came to really serious moments, like one of my best friends was just gonna decide to, even though she was blessed before, she just decided to break her blessing, and then she wanted to, go out with a teacher, a fellow teacher. She was a teacher at school, and to basically, go get another boyfriend. And I just really challenged her. I just told her straight what I thought, and I was just so angry. I just couldn't believe it. And that that just really damaged the relationship. And even though I thought that was coming from my heart, of course that was all in my heart, you know, it was like there was so much emotion there, and I was doing it because I wanted the best for her, of course. But there was also so much, yeah, there was just judgment also, right? There was, and a lot of, yeah, and anger and frustration. Why, you know, why aren't these others, why don't they get it? You know, there was so much of that there. And, you know, down the line, I've had a few of those kind of experience where I really pushed actually my closest friends away by not getting how I should approach them. And yeah, so that's, yeah, I just wanted to share that because yeah, maybe some of you can relate, and when you're making efforts to, yeah, in your spiritual life, and I'm sure you'll often see that, you know, that branching off of people going their own ways, and how we deal with that is very fragile. So yeah, just to be aware, you know, even though you think sometimes something's coming from a good place, sometimes you have to kind of, okay, hold your horses and really be more prayerful about how to approach relationships. And of course I did apologize afterwards, but it still takes more time to repair relationships, to restore trust, and that's a long-term investment, I think, you know, of friendships, that people really feel that you really care about them, and not just you're just trying to make sure that they stay in the church or something. Anyway, maybe I'm a bit fundamental, probably more than most of you, but yeah. Yeah, so anyway, just because time's short, I just thought I would just mention a few bullet points, I guess, a few takeaways for yeah, maybe the main things to think about in supporting others on their spiritual path. Yeah, so talk from experience and not from theory as much as possible. I remember, like, you know, also getting blasted by some friends when I would just say some, you know, cliche DP things, and then they would be like, you don't even know what you're talking about, you know, you're just saying this and it doesn't mean anything. So, you know, that really hit me hard. Whatever you say, you have to have some experience with it when you're saying it. You know, you can't just say things because you've heard it in lectures and things like that. You actually, it doesn't mean anything unless you've actually experienced what this is, whatever you're sharing with others. And also, yeah, we heard it as well, that basically your growth helps others grow. So, and especially I think your difficult experiences. So yeah, I would say sometimes I think I'm really grateful that I had a difficult time growing up, that it was difficult for me to make friends. It was hard for me at school. It was, you know, because I had a broken blessing. All these things, actually, I'm not saying we need these things, but you can always take, yeah, from these harder experiences, you can really actually, you can understand people much better and give a lot to others. Yeah, and yeah, I think this is probably maybe one of the most important points, is that I realized recently how relationships are good to remember, that relationships are eternal. So yeah, when we're thinking about, you know, yeah, relationships with other people, that even if maybe this is where we're at now, we have eternal lives, and even though someone might be distant at the moment, you're always actually connected. I remember someone saying this to me once, you know, don't worry, they are connected to you by like a string, and they'll come back, you know, at some point. It's like it's all a lifelong journey, so at some point or another we're going to be in different places, but I think that's, yeah, that helps if you let other people feel that, instead of trying to use your words to convince people of something, just making them really feel that they belong, that they are part of your family, and that will never change. You know, it's really giving that feeling. And yeah, so the force of love is stronger than truth, and it's really, yeah, it's really the quality and depth of that love that you have for someone that will really impact them. And like we've heard today, it's not what you say. And I think especially when you can really come to the point of even crying for someone, shedding tears because you feel so strongly about them. Yeah, I think yeah, that when you think about for yourself, who are the people that you feel most strongly about in your heart, maybe whoever they are in your life, and those are the people that you can impact the most, you know, because there is so much love already there. And yeah, it's the same for anything, that wherever you feel the strongest heart love for, that's the area also where you can make the biggest impact. And the same with people. Yeah, so think about who those people are, and that's also God's, you know, guidance for you, God's message to you. These are the people I want you to take care of, you know. And it's there's this Korean expression, inyon. It's like even anyone who you just brush the arms of when you're passing, you're like meant to meet. So it's like people who are brought into your life, God brings you together for a reason. So to think about who those people in your life that God wants you to take care of. And yeah, and I guess yeah, just to seek God's guidance and that source of love and guidance that you need to guide others is absolutely ultimately coming from God. So yeah, through prayer. And I often used to pray. I don't do it as consciously now, but I used to always pray before meeting someone, if it was an important meeting, even very short, just to guide the meeting. But sometimes it could make me tense. So it's good to pray, but then also allow God to just guide you, and just let go, to kind of forget it as well then when you're in that meeting, and just allow God to guide it. Yeah, and I think also, like it was mentioned, when you become a couple, and then even more as a family, how you can impact other people is even on another level. So like Dieter was saying, as you know, together with his wife, you know, you have an even greater way to impact other people in their spiritual life. You represent more like parents, like balanced out characters and stuff. And also as families, I feel that we're now at that stage. We try to visit other families now over the summer, you know, across Europe as a whole family. And I can see, you know, this is also another way of reaching out now to some friends of mine who are a bit distant, and they're just naturally seeing that they want to be part of, you know, this is their family, this is their community, and just naturally connecting also in that way as families then. So it's really a lifelong journey. And yeah, just wanted to share a few of these points from my life with you. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Yoshiko. Can we give a round of applause for our dear older sister? So we have once again quite a lot of questions. We'll try to go through as many as we can because we're a little bit over time. So we'll jump right into it. So first is a comment. Antto is the ultimate companion of faith. I wonder who wrote that comment. And the question is, someone is asking for my help, but I am not in the position to help this person. How to not hurt that person and listen to them, but channel them to their central figure? Tricky question. First for Antto, Yoshiko, please.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, whenever I think Jordan Peterson said this, whenever we speak, we risk hurting someone else. So yeah, I think it's good to listen, but then find the most kind way to encourage this person, and just tell them honestly that I feel this is very, you know, I really want to help you, but I feel this is beyond my capacity. But I feel that this one person, you know, whoever it is someone who can really help you. So, and you can even offer to maybe make a connection to that person. So something like this. But I think it's extremely important to say that very honestly, that, you know, I want to help you, but I feel this beyond me. So, you know, even you can offer together to consult that third person. That's it. Yoshiko, anything to add?
Yeah, no, just yeah, it's often people just need someone to talk to, right? Just to let out whatever's on their hearts. So you don't have to answer, like give them advice, right? Just let them empty themselves out already. That's a big help. Maybe they already recognize something when they are speaking. So yeah, I don't know how to guide them to a central figure. Yeah, it's best if it's someone that they know, and yeah, anyone that they trust, you know, even if it's not directly a central figure, but someone who is somehow in a yeah, vertical position. Maybe you can ask them who else they might feel comfortable talking to, yeah, in that kind of position.
Very good. We'll jump right into the next question. Yes. Okay, here. How can I show my point of view in a situation where I know that something is not going right without seeming arrogant and controlling? Parentheses, I'm really impulsive person, so it's hard for me. It says Yoshiko there. I'm not sure if Yoshiko wrote this question or if it's for Yoshiko. I'm not sure how to interpret that.
Yeah, maybe Antto should answer instead of me, because I wasn't a good example, but I guess I wish I had prayed more, you know, just during that moment, especially when I felt my rage, especially when I felt my anger boiling up or something, that I could really kind of find a way to cool it down, you know, and find some more perspective. Yeah, I don't know. What would you say, Antto?
You mean, I mean, I just hit one head with a DP book. I think that's not the right one. No, I understand this is a very difficult situation. Recently, my 10-month-old daughter, you know, she's been having difficulty eating, and sometimes she's waking up in the middle of the night and wanting to stay awake, even though she's clearly tired. And you know, as a parent, this is extremely frustrating for me. And sometimes, if I could, I would just take, you know, I would just want to take her mouth and shove the food and be like, "You need to eat in order to grow." You know, really, it's because not for me to feel good, but because she needs the food, and I'm really concerned if she hasn't eaten properly for a few days. But I was thinking, you know, this is how God must feel with us sometimes. You know, He wants to. He sees we're doing something that's messing up our lives, so it's clearly the wrong path. And God probably would want to take us and just grab us this way. And I think this is similar to what we want to do as companions of faith. To our brothers and sisters, we want to sometimes grab them and just be like, come on, see things from my point of view, from God's point of view. But, you know, I can't do this to my daughter, even though it's, you know, it's the right thing to do. I have to just wait and do my best to, you know, offer food and, you know, put her to sleep again and again. I think God is also doing. We cannot interfere in our responsibility, and we cannot interfere in other people's responsibility. And there will come a time when we have to say, okay, I have my portion of responsibility, and that person has their portion of responsibility, and I should not feel that, you know, that their portion of responsibility is my job. So I think we need is consistency in this, and saying that kind of one thing in private, not in public, because I was like Yoshiko also when I was younger, and I was telling people off, my brothers and sisters off in front of, you know, when they're together in a group, like, oh, you should not be wearing such a short shirt at the workshop. You know, not the good thing to do. But you know, slowly over time, I think it's the way. And sometimes if you're very close, then you can also tell the person very directly, like, don't do that. But yeah, I think that's my perspective on that. And hit them on the head with a DP book.
Can I just add, just because it had to make me think also of parenting, and because this will come up, I also have, you know, I can get angry now as a parent, and I have to, actually you have to work out what's wrong with you, right? It's not, this is really clear when you're a parent, it's not your child's problem. So why do I get so upset? And I think if you can also take more time also before meeting this person, you know, when you have time to, like, also in prayer to really, you know, really work out what's at the heart of it, you know, what's really go down really deep, and it's probably something that you experienced or whatever, you know, that's making you so react in this way. And I think then you can probably act more balanced, and yeah. Anyway, just to bring yourself into the picture and what you need to work on yourself.
And one more point on that. I think, Yoshiko, we're having a great discussion here, inspiring each other, about this being arrogant and controlling. I think one thing important is not to first of all come with this point that you want to make, but, you know, first you go and be like, nice shirt, you know, something like that. Give a compliment, something that they, you know, connect to them first, and then find an opportunity to say something. I think this is very important, because often if the first thing you say is something like, then the person will be, oh, that's arrogant. So yeah, try and connect to them on some level, and then, you know, at an opportune time, say what you need to say.
Any response there from Yoshiko? I don't wanna. This is a good dynamic we got here. All right, good. Next time Antto gives me a compliment for my shirt, I'll be like, what do you want to tell me? All right, we'll jump to the next question, which is, should you keep your friends from the community not active anymore, even though they don't have the same values anymore, or even have a bad influence on you, and believe that maybe they'll come back? Excellent question. Either or, but one of you have to answer.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You should keep your friends. That was exactly, you know, my mistake, was I didn't see the value anymore in investing there. But, you know, it doesn't mean that you have to go to all the places that they go to, or meet always in the settings. Maybe now and again. I mean, Bogdan had no problem. I was so surprised when we got to know each other. I mean, he didn't grow up with BCs around him in the community. He was always going to, like, pubs with his friends, and he would just drink a cola, you know, and he was famous for doing that. You know, everyone was like, oh yeah, that's just Bogdan, you know, and he would be the one dancing the most on the dance floor, you know. He's like that, right? So, you know, if you're okay with that, if you feel like you can be strong enough to be yourself in those settings, then okay. I mean, I don't think that's everyone, but otherwise I would say, you know, of course, keep your friends, and then find a setting where it's not necessarily those settings, but other settings where you can meet them, and meet them in a different, you know, connect to them in a different way. But of course, you got to respect that we've got different lifestyles, but you can still meet in a cafe or something, or wherever, or do something active together. And I think they'll really appreciate just the fact that, you know, it's obvious you have different lifestyles and maybe different values with time, but they'll just appreciate the fact that you still care enough to spend time with them, right? And that will really have an impact further down the road, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe to address this point, that if you feel that they even have a bad influence on you, I think this is something a bit which should ring some alarm bells on one hand. So be selective of how you engage with your friends. So if they go drinking and you feel that's such a tempting environment for you, I would not do that. I would instead try and, you know, get your friends to go to the movies or like some football together, whatever. But engaging in that, and usually your friends, you know, especially if they're second gen who are not active, they know what your values are. So they'll notice, you know, at some point, okay, you know, this person does not want to necessarily engage in this, but wants to stay my friend. And I think that's maybe a more hopeful, you know, if you try and set a good setting where you can engage with each other in a healthy manner, then I think that's a good thing. But if seriously, if you're feeling that you're with a group of friends and this is really pulling you down, it's better to step back. That's my perspective on this. You know, this is a classic Satan strategy, you know, use our compassion to drag us into issues that are too deep for us. So, yeah, so we have to be aware and kind of careful and considerate. Or how do you see it, Yoshiko?
Yeah, no, definitely. Hopefully you will have also your companions of faith who will maybe point out to you, right? You know, maybe it's they're noticing something. Maybe I just had to think of my mum's voice now when she was that person for me, pointing out things that I didn't like to hear. But those are those alarm bells, and it's, yeah, those, as long as you're, then it's your job, right, to kind of assess with your conscience, okay, you know, you got to make the decision. But yeah, definitely be aware of your other companions of faith, what they are saying, what they are also seeing. Yeah.
Trick number 3, take your mom with you.
Good. Bring your mom with you. That's the takeaway from that question. All right. So we have one last question and we don't have much time. So we'll ask you to keep it very, very short, maybe even a sentence or two. And it's just, well, I'll read the question and then, Yoshiko, can you please explain the sentence, love is stronger than truth, a bit more, maybe by giving an example? My mom keeps saying this. So I know, big question, short answer. All right, that's your task now. You have 40 seconds. It's providential 40.
Oh my God. No, Antto, do you have an answer already? I'm not good at fast.
Oh, you're excellent. I'll start and you cut me off. So what this means is that I think classic love is stronger than the principle, how God created things. So we can approach people through the intellect, through the truth, but what really wins them over is the love. So same thing, you know, when Truffaut was speaking 10 hours and people were sleeping, it's not the words that they got, but the love. So Yoshiko can carry on the remaining 15 seconds.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's not really truth, but it's more like force. Do you know this story about the sun and the wind having a competition to blow off a man's coat? Do you know that little anecdote? But it's really good because it's like a man walking along the road and the sun and the wind are having a competition who can blow off the man's coat, who can get the man to remove his coat. And the wind does it by force, you know, all his force to blow off the man's coat, but he only grabs it tighter and okay, nice. But the sun, he just uses all his heat to, you know, make the man disarm himself and remove the coat himself, right? So for me, I like this little anecdote because it's like you can't force someone to do something, but if you love them, if you give them enough warmth, enough love, then they will do it themselves. And yeah, for me, it's not exactly love and truth, but somehow it's a similar kind of idea. Yeah.
Very good. I thought the wind would cool him down, so he would never take it off, you know. Thought we were at like a black hole there, never ending story. All right. Thank you so much. I think we've had some amazing speakers today. It was so nice actually to hear the different experiences, the different approaches. I think we had like actually a really round circle. Many of the stories wisdom, words of wisdom really came together, and that was really nice. So can we give a round of applause for our speakers tonight? It was really, really excellent. So I know we are actually a little bit over time, but we know that you love discussing with each other. So we will have a team meeting now. And the discussion points are: what stood out for you during the talks? What are some important qualities you see in yourself that can help being a good companion of faith for others? How can you be an instrument for God and true parents and help the brothers and sisters around you? Oof, I envy you for the conversations you're about to have. All right, so we will now open the breakout rooms. You know what team you are part of. So please join your team and have a great conversation. And I will see you in 20 minutes. All right, welcome back. So nice to see so many of you with your cameras on that weren't on before. Very good. Sometimes this is my favorite part because I get to see everyone because you didn't turn off your camera fast enough. And here you are. All right, so nice to see so many of you. We will have a few announcements. So the homework is create a short questionnaire on the topic of what people are looking for in a community. Discuss whether you should obtain basic demographic data of your respondents. Make sure all team members contribute to the process, take different roles. Create 1 to 3 slides that summarize the results, I think it's supposed to say. This is due this Friday. And also reflection on the first part of the program. So please, this is also homework. Please fill in the reflection. We really need your feedback, but also this is for you to look back on this time and see how it's been. Also, to remind everyone, we have a daily Hundoke every morning at 6:30 a.m. Central European Time, or of course in your own time. It's the same Zoom link as this. You can find the reflection in the chat. And we wanted to share this with you. The discussions after the Hundoke is what I am excited for the most. There's always something we are talking about. It is fascinating to see how people pick up things differently from the text and interpret it in their own way. It is totally worth the effort to wake up early every day and to start off with some great spiritual inspiration. Beautiful quote, Tim Berger. All right, I don't know if you're sucking up to us, but it's working. We love you, dude. This is amazing. Good stuff, good stuff. All right, you guys need, this is the bar. This is the level we are expecting. So more beautiful stuff like this. Every team needs a Tim, indeed. And only one of you have one. So the rest of you need to be good companions of faith. And, you know, just be a Tim. Be a Tim. All right. So next session is becoming a peace hero. Very exciting. So I would actually like to welcome up Yoshiko to offer a closing prayer, if that is, or is that possible? I didn't ask Yoshiko before. Maybe it's not possible then. No, okay, then I will, on behalf of Yoshiko, close with a prayer. So please join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Parent of Japan, thank you so much for the session that we just had. It was really amazing. We had such amazing speakers that really shared from their heart on this topic. We could really feel that this is something that they have been, working on for so long, and I felt so much how I could somehow identify the friends and the brothers and sisters in their lives that perhaps helped them reach what they are today. And I pray that we can be that for each other. I pray that you can really guide us in this regard, so you can come into our lives and help us be true companions of faith. So thank you so much for today and for tonight. I'd like to pray this now about my dear brothers and sisters here, and in my name, Peter Niel from Mr. Family, Jew. All right, everyone, thank you so much for today. I know we're a bit over time, so I hope you can rest really well after this. After, of course, you filled in the reflections, then you can rest really well. And I hope to see some of you on Friday. All right. Thank you. Good night, everyone.